You are not reading this by chance, you have been summoned, and the moment is here. Treat July 2025 not as a date to fear, but as a silent alarm you set for yourself long ago. Every single event in your life, every twist and turn, has been a precise calibration, honing you for this exact threshold. This isn't about catastrophe, it's about clarity. You felt the deep, internal hum growing loud, a quiet urgency, a sense that the current way of being is no longer sustainable. That feeling is not anxiety. It's your core truth signaling that the time for change is non-negotiable. You were never engineered to fit in with the masses. You were not built for the constant static of social validation, for the relentless pursuit of hollow trophies. You have been systematically dismantled, tested by fire, and reassembled for one purpose: to awaken. That moment is now. This pull you feel, this deep internal stirring, is not a warning from some external force. It is a memo from your own soul. You can choose to answer its call, or you can hit snooze. But the fact remains, a fundamental shift must occur, and deep down, a part of you has already made the choice. July 2025 does not mark the end of your life. It must, however, mark the end of your allegiance to a lesser self. The version of you that negotiates with your potential, that postpones its purpose, that prioritizes comfort over truth. That self has no place in what comes next. The world is saturated with diminished versions of people. It requires your authentic self, not in a few months, not when you feel ready. Now, the very fact you are still engaged with this message confirms this. That pressure in your heart is not imagined, it's the signal of your own impending emergence. This moment is the question, and your life is the answer. The time for justification is over. The time for waiting for perfect conditions has expired. This is your appointment. Everything you could possibly need, you already possess. It's not out there, it's in here. Your resilience, your insight, your self-discipline, your ability to be present. These are not skills you acquire, they are aspects of your nature you uncover. Your entire life has been the training ground. Every betrayal, every failure, every night spent staring at the ceiling asking, why, was reinforcing the foundation. It was all to ensure that when July 2025 arrived, you would remember your true strength and anchor yourself within it. This world is a powerful sedative. It has conditioned us to seek our value outside ourselves. It has taught you how to cope, not how to truly live. But your design was never for mere survival. You were built to ascend, to perceive with clarity, to exist with integrity. That requires courage, and this date is a line drawn in the sand for those prepared to own that courage. You don't need a complete map. You don't need to feel perfectly prepared. You only need to make a decision. The decision to choose substance over illusion, presence over distraction, integrity over excuses. You are not being called to invent a new person. You are being asked to finally excavate the real one. The one buried under layers of fear, social roles, and the inner voice that whispers, it's not time. A gateway opens in July, not in the sky but in your consciousness. A door will materialize, but only those with conviction will see the handle. If you walk through it, you cannot remain the same. Not because the world magically transforms, but because you do. And when you transform, the world has no choice but to reflect that change back to you. You are here, now, because this is your time. It is not an error in the system. Do not dismiss this. Do not categorize this as just another piece of content. It is not. This is your reminder that your time is finite, that your comfort zone is a gilded cage, that procrastination is a form of self-betrayal. You have been lulled into thinking you have endless tomorrows. You do not. You have been told to wait for a leader. You will not find one. It is your watch. It has always been. This message is not designed to frighten you. It is designed to activate the part of you that already knows these truths. You are still on your feet because you were built to lead from within. You were subjected to pressure so that you could achieve clarity. You were shattered so that your ego could dissolve and your spirit could command. July 2025 is not about finding peace and quiet anymore. It's not about passive observation. It's about deliberate action, about rising, about revealing the truth of who you are through your choices. Will you encounter resistance? Absolutely. It is part of the process. Will fear surface? It is guaranteed. But you act anyway. You speak your truth anyway, because that is the work of those who are awake. Not because they are without fault, but because they have abandoned the fantasy of perfection. They move with the tools they have. They act on what they know to be true, and they refuse to hide. Let this period, marked by July 2025, be the moment you drop the act, the day you stopped lying to yourself, the hour you quit saying you're not prepared. Let this be the day you consciously release the version of you that has expired. The world is starving for the authenticity that only you can provide. Not later, not when it's easy, but now. Most people operate under the belief that the visible world is the only reality. They navigate their lives by reacting, to headlines, to social pressures, to fear. They invest their energy in things that are inherently temporary. They construct identities on job titles, appearances, and accomplishments, foundations that can be washed away in an instant. But that is not your path. That is why this frequency found you. The era of pure illusion is closing. The world you perceive is not the complete picture. It is a projection of unexamined beliefs and fears inherited over generations. Your reality has been sculpted by conditioning from the moment you were born: what to want, what to chase, what to hold as true. That is not you. That is your programming. You are not your profession. You are not your past mistakes. You are not the image you project. These are just costumes. The real world, the one that hums beneath all that noise, only reveals itself when the mind becomes still. When you cease the frantic labeling of everything, when you stop defending your ego, when you no longer run from the discomfort of a silent moment. That is when reality emerges. That is when you see how deeply hypnotized people are, how addicted to external validation and internal chatter. The real world begins where the simulation ends, and that is what July 2025 signifies. Transition, not a public spectacle, but a private revolution, a crack in the facade of the consensus reality, a choice to stop performing. The world outside seems increasingly chaotic. This is not by chance. This is the sound of the old structures cracking under pressure. The illusion is failing because its foundation was false. And now the choice is yours. Continue to play your part in the play or open your eyes. The real world is not something you build. It is something you allow. You don't have to chase it. You simply have to stop obscuring it. Stop smothering it with endless distractions, with a torrent of thoughts you don't question, with emotional reactions that run on autopilot. When you decelerate, when you can watch your own mind without being hijacked by it, the veil thins and you begin to perceive what is true. You were taught that success is a number in a bank, that joy is a purchase, that love is a transaction, that approval from others means safety. None of this is true. These are beliefs designed to keep you asleep. The truth is quieter, more profound. It doesn't scream for your attention. It doesn't coerce. It simply is. It waits for you to become exhausted by the fragments, to grow tired of chasing things that can never truly satisfy. That moment of exhaustion, of being done, that's your starting line. The world you were taught to accept is fueled by scarcity, urgency, and comparison. That is the source of the widespread feeling of emptiness. That is why nothing is ever enough. People are trying to feed a soul, deep hunger with material snacks. They seek stability in things that are designed to change, and then are shattered when they do. The true world is already here, but it demands something from you. It demands stillness. It demands radical honesty. It asks that you look at yourself without flinching, that you take responsibility, that you cease blaming and numbing, and finally begin to live. Not for show, not for an audience, but for what is real. This is not the path for most. But if this message is for you, it is the only path. July 2025 is not about what happens outside. It's about how you perceive. It's about a fundamental shift in your awareness. The instant you shift from reacting to observing, the moment you disengage from your ego and re-engage with presence, that is the transformation. And it is available to you now, if you are willing to let go. Let go of the identity you've so carefully constructed. Let go of fear as your primary advisor. Let go of the story that says you are somehow incomplete. These narratives are the filters that block your vision. Remove them, and what you find is not emptiness, but depth, silence, and peace. Not a fragile peace that depends on circumstances, but one that is your very nature. This is not a philosophy, it is a way of being. You either see the truth or you don't. You either operate from that truth or you operate from fear. There is no middle ground. The date is merely a symbol, a doorway. Step through it, and your entire existence recalibrates. You move with less haste, you speak with more intention, you listen with your whole being, you live with unshakable clarity. That is how you know you have entered the real world. And once you have, the surface will never feel like home again. The need to escape will vanish. The urge to chase will dissolve. You will simply be here, fully. And in that stillness, you will know who you have been all along. Hardship has been your most profound instructor. The curriculum was brutal, but it forged you in ways that comfort never could. The truth is that no part of your life has been wasted. Not the betrayal, not the isolation, not the moments of failure. Each time you were brought to your knees, something indestructible was built in you. Discernment, fortitude, awareness. These qualities are not born from easy wins. They are earned in the struggle, in the dark nights of the soul no one knew about, in the silent battles, in the moments you were certain you could not go on, but did. July 2025 is not about destiny or doom. It is about recollection. It is a call to integrate your past and see that your pain was not random. Not because it was pleasant, but because it was a solvent that dissolved everything that wasn't you. It annihilated the illusion of control. It taught you humility. It showed you who your real allies were. It trained you to listen, to be still, to stop performing. You were not being punished, you were being tempered. Every scar is a credential. More than that, it is a source of power. The simple fact of your survival means you carry something sacred within you. Not everyone makes it through the fire, but you did. And you didn't just endure, you were refined by it. You learned to see the nuances others miss. Pain sharpened your perception to detect what is real, to value silence, and to choose substance over spectacle. You no longer get triggered as you once did. You don't chase validation like you used to. You have been evolving in quiet, profound ways. July is not just a point in time, it's a mirror. It invites you to pause and see the architecture of your own strength. Not to run from what hurt you, but to understand its utility. There is no growth without pressure, no revelation without a breakdown. What you have experienced taught you things no book ever could. It taught you patience. It taught you resilience. It taught you how to keep going when there was no external reward, especially then. That is when your true power was born. The world teaches us to medicate pain, to deny it, to escape it at all costs. But those who are called are sculpted by it, not broken, not defeated. The goal is not to be fearless. It is to act in the presence of fear. It is to walk through the storm without letting the storm enter you. You have done this. You have weathered private hurricanes and you are still standing. That is not a sign of damage, that is mastery. There were moments you almost surrendered. You told yourself the fight wasn't worth it. You questioned your own sanity. That was part of the alchemy. The breaking was necessary so that the false self could crumble and the true self could emerge. The version of you that was riddled with doubt had to be exhausted because your authentic self was buried underneath. More centered, more powerful, and more wise. Now is the time to stop defining yourself by past wounds. Stop carrying your pain like a burden. Wield it like a sword. Let it inform your discernment. Let it fuel your discipline. Let it anchor you in what is real. July 2025 marks the point where you cease asking, "Why did this happen to me?" and begin to declare, "This happened for me." Not to romanticize it, but to transcend it. To stop bleeding from wounds that are no longer open. You are no longer defined by your history. You are the architect of your response to it. Your strength was not inherited, it was forged, choice by choice, in the very fires you thought would consume you. You now possess a wisdom others do not. Not because they are lesser, but because they have not walked your path. You understand the weight of silence. You have made peace with solitude. You have survived days where your smile was an act of war. That depth of understanding is a rare asset. It cultivates compassion. It gives weight to your words. It grants power to your presence. When you speak, people listen not because of your volume, but because of your depth. This pain was purposeful, but now you must decide what it becomes. Let it be converted into insight. Let it inform how you move, how you speak, and how you show up in the world. The world is not in need of more perfect people. It is in need of authentic ones. It needs those who have fallen and gotten back up, those who know the darkness and yet deliberately choose the light. That is you. You are called because you endured suffering and did not let it make you bitter. You used it to alchemize your perception. The time for reflection is over. The pain that sculpted you now requires you to move. Speak with the authority of your experience. Act with clarity. Stop apologizing for the past that forged you. On July 2025, let that be the day you stop looking back with regret and start walking forward with power. You must break the chains in your own mind. They are not made of steel, but they are stronger. They bind you every time you second guess yourself, every time you heed the inner critic that whispers you are not ready. These chains are constructed from thoughts old, recycled, and unexamined. Their purpose is to keep you small, to keep you quiet, to keep you waiting. But you have waited long enough. Now is the time to see the truth. Understand that your primary obstacle has never been the world. It has been your own mind. Since you were a child, you were programmed what to believe, what to fear, what to achieve to be considered worthy. You accepted this programming, not from weakness, but because that is how a society perpetuates itself. But the time has come for the great unlearning, not gradually. Now, because July 2025 is not some distant future, it is a clarifying moment, a point of decision to cut through the mental fog and stand in reality. The prison was always internal. Your thoughts are not directives. Your feelings are not facts. You have spent a lifetime reacting to both as if they were. That must end now. You are not your anxiety. You are not your bad habits. You are not your thoughts. You are the awareness that witnesses them, and that awareness is inherently free the moment it ceases to identify with the noise. The mind is a creature of habit. It will tell you to stay safe. It will tell you to avoid risk. It will tell you that you're not prepared. But ask yourself, how long has that voice been running your life? How many opportunities did you forfeit because of it? How many times did you silence yourself when you had a truth to speak? How often did you choose comfort over your own evolution? That voice is not your guide, it is your gatekeeper, and it fears your liberation. To break these internal chains means to act in direct opposition to the mind's timid demands. Be still when it craves distraction. Act when it screams for delay. Move forward even when it floods you with doubt. This is how the awakened live, not by seeking permission from their own thoughts, but by demonstrating mastery over them. Discipline is not a burden. It is your primary tool of freedom. Without it, your mind is your master. With it, you are the master of your mind. July 2025 is a crossroads. You can continue to walk in the circles of your old patterns, or you can break the cycle. You can draw a line and declare, from this moment on, I am no longer governed by runaway thoughts. I will govern myself. This is how true transformation happens. Not tomorrow, not when it feels safe. Now, freedom is not the ability to do whatever you want. It is the ability to not be a slave to your fleeting impulses and emotions. It is choosing your response. It is trading short-term comfort for the long-term power of a focused, stable, and resilient mind. You already have this capacity, but it must be exercised daily. There are no life hacks, no magic pills, only commitment, presence, and repetition. Begin to notice the story your mind tells on loop. It has a familiar script: you're behind, you're going to fail, you're not as good as them. It manufactures fear on an endless cycle, but none of it is real. And the instant you stop feeding it with your belief, it begins to starve. When you cease to believe it, it disintegrates. This is the essence of the turning point: releasing the dead weight, separating from the programming that was never yours, reclaiming the energy you've been leaking. This is the only battle that matters, not out in the world, but inside your own consciousness, the battle between awareness and conditioning, between your essential self and the character your mind has created. Every single day you choose to practice is a victory. Every time you consciously interrupt an old, negative thought pattern, you win. The chosen are not without fear. They are simply focused. They feel the fear and do it anyway. They hear the doubt and act regardless. That is functional freedom. In July 2025, let it be known, not to the world but to yourself, that the chains are broken. That you no longer mistake the chatter of your mind for reality. That you now operate from clarity. You move from a place of stillness. You are no longer trapped by the ghosts of your past. This isn't about becoming someone different. It is about remembering who you were before the world told you who to be. And once you remember, you cannot forget. You will see the thoughts, but you will not be them. You will feel the emotions, but they will not dictate your actions. You will live from a place of depth, truth, and purpose. A true mission begins internally, not with action, not with words, not with leading others. It begins in the quiet, in self-discipline, in the moments no one sees. If you cannot master yourself, you are not fit to guide anyone. Before you try to change the world, still your own mind. Before you seek external truth, abandon your internal falsehoods. Your outer world is a direct reflection of your inner state. This is the simple mechanics of consciousness. If your mind is in chaos, your life will be chaotic. If your mind is full of noise, your path will be unclear. Inner order is the prerequisite for everything else. July 2025 is not a destination, it is a gateway. It is open only to the focused, not to the distracted or the passive. This path is not about chasing fleeting moments of inspiration or waiting for motivation to strike. Those are temporary highs. They will not sustain you. Mastery will, and mastery is built through repetition. By choosing discipline over disorder, by getting up when your mind tells you to stay down. This is where real power is forged, not in what is easy, but in what is necessary. The world has enough leaders who are themselves lost, driven by ego and insecurity. That is why we are drowning in noise and starving for wisdom. You are not meant for that. You are here to embody integrity, clarity, and alignment. You will not need to make grand speeches. Your presence will be your statement. But that kind of presence is earned. It is earned through the inner work, by confronting your own habits, your own attachments, your own excuses. By looking them in the eye and not backing down. This mission is not about gaining followers. It's about embodying a truth so profound that others remember their own truth in your company. That is not a performance. It is the result of practice. It begins in the early morning before the world demands your attention. You train not for an audience, but for your own sovereignty, because you are the one you have been waiting for. Mastering your inner world requires brutal honesty. You have to stop making excuses. You have to stop saying tomorrow when you know it is a lie born of fear. Every time you delay, your resolve weakens. Every time you choose distraction, your conditioning strengthens its grip on you. Mastery is not a destination you arrive at. It is a choice you make over and over again.